Hello again, and welcome back to speaking about conditional sentences. I hope you feel pretty comfortable with conditional sentences type 1, which we looked at the previous lesson. I hope you did your exercises in the worksheet. So now we can go on to speaking about conditional sentences type 2, which is right here on the screen. What do you remember about first conditional sentences? Yes, that's right. You remember that first conditional sentences speak about real actions and some actions that are going to happen in the future. We have a condition and the result, which will happen in the future. Speaking about conditional sentences number 2, we can also call them imaginary situations. Yeah, imaginary present situations. And the name speaks for itself actually, because you use conditional sentences type 2 when you imagine a situation which is in the present, right? So, for example, if I were a millionaire, well, obviously I'm not a millionaire, but if I were a millionaire, I would buy myself a Ferrari. Okay, so this is something that is not true in the present, but I imagine this. And in these cases, I need to use conditional sentences, and these conditional sentences are type 2. So let's look at how we can form these sentences. Well, the main formation is written in big letters here, up here. So again, we use the word if, but in this case, after if, you have to use the past simple tense of the verb, any verb that you want to use. So if plus past, and in the second part of the sentence, when you speak about the result of this condition, you are going to use would plus verb. And this verb is used in the infinitive. So just would and the infinitive of any verb that you need. Okay, let's read the examples here. If I didn't have children, I would work from a home office somewhere in Thailand. Okay, so you understand that this sentence is not true for today because this is just something that I imagine, the person imagines. That's why he uses if, and the past simple tense after if, didn't have, is the past. And in the second part of the sentence, you see would and the verb would work. Okay, this is a positive sentence. We can also form a negative one. I wouldn't agree to be a manager even if they offered me a lot of money. Again, you can say would or you can say wouldn't. And after would or wouldn't, you use the verb. Okay, and you can also make a question, a conditional question. If you didn't work in IT, what would you do? Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples, a little bit more detailed. If I had more free time, I would start my own business. So again, there is a condition, which is here, and there is a result, which is this part of the sentence. So again, a conditional sentence has two parts, a condition and a result. In the condition, you see if, and after if, in this type of conditional sentence, you use had, which is past simple. Okay, so if and past simple. And you don't change it. It's always like that if you speak about an imaginary situation in present. And in the result, you use the word would. And after would, you always use an infinitive. Pay attention that this infinitive is used as it is. You don't add to. You don't say to start, right? I would start my own business. Okay, and another example. If I were a millionaire, I would buy an island or something very expensive. So if I were a millionaire, this is a condition. And what would I do if I were a millionaire? Yeah, if this condition is true, what would I do? I would buy an island. All right, so what's interesting about this sentence is that when you speak about something that you would do if you were someone else, or if you were in a different situation, you use this exact phrase, if I were. Actually, you know that I is used with was, right? I was, he was, she was, it was, but you were, they were, and we were. But in conditional sentences, type 2, we use this phrase, and this is kind of a common phrase to say. We don't usually say if I was a millionaire, but we say if I were a millionaire. This is just a common phrase, but we use it only in these conditions. Okay, and again, the thing that you remember from first conditionals is that you can change the condition and the result, the positions of them in the sentence. You can reverse these positions. So you can say the result first and the condition in the end of the sentence. For example, like here, I would buy an island if I were a millionaire. The most important thing to remember is that past simple always goes after the word if, no matter where you have this if. Yeah, past simple always goes after if. And a question again here, what would you buy if you had millions of dollars? Again, would, buy, would plus verb, and then if and past simple. Going back to the original first slide, let's look at the rules here. We use if plus past and would plus verb to talk about an imaginary situation and its result. And it's important also to remember that this imaginary situation is in the present. We imagine something that is in the present, or that could be in the present, yeah? And the second rule, if clause, meaning the condition, the part of the sentence that contains condition, can come first or second in the sentence with no change in meaning. Okay, and something that you have to remember not to do, here in red, never use would after if, right? So the condition always stays the same with the formation of if plus past simple in this case. Okay, and let's look at this phrase again. Let's look at this phrase again. Use if I were you, not if I was you, for advice. When you want to give advice, to say that you would do something differently, then you can say something like that. If I were you, I would learn Java. If I were. This is a common way to say it in conditional sentences. And also sometimes instead of would in the second part, in the result of this condition, we can say could, because can changes into could. So if you originally wanted to say something that contains the word can, you change it into could, and in this case you don't have to use would. You replace would with the word could, right? For example, if programming was so easy, everybody could do it. Everybody could do it instead of would. Okay, good. So once again, conditional sentences speak about an imaginary situation in the present, imaginary situation in the present. They are formed with two parts of the sentence. The first part contains the condition, and in this part you have to use the word if, and then past simple. If I had a lot of free time, this is a condition, then what would I do? And the second part is a result, and I have to use the word would and the verb. If I had more free time, I would learn something new. But we understand that it means that I don't have more free time now. So I imagine this situation. If I had more free time, I would do something. I would learn something new. Okay, so let's move on to an exercise. You have 6 sentences and you have to fill in the gaps. Feel free to pause the video after each sentence when you need more time to think. So, sentence number 1. And the answer is, we would need to hire some remote developers if we wanted to use Angular 4 for this program. The condition in this sentence is if we wanted to use Angular 4 for this program. That's why we use past simple, wanted, if we wanted. Number 2. Okay. If the app asked for a phone number, a lot of people would not register. The condition is if the app asked for a phone number. That's why we use past simple, asked. And the result is a lot of people would not register. We use would for the result. Number 3. The answer is, if his English was better, he would get this job. What is the condition here? The condition is, if his English was better. Number 4. Okay. If I were you, I would apply for this job. If I were you is a standard common phrase to use in conditional sentences. This is how we can give advice to somebody. If I were you, I would apply for this job. The condition is, if I were you. The result is, I would apply. Number 5. Okay, so we have to use past simple in the condition, and that's what we do. If the UI was simpler, and then we have to use would plus the infinitive in the result, this app would be more popular. If the UI was simpler, this app would be more popular. And number 6. You can see that this is a question. So we have to use a question form. Would you go to that conference if you had to pay by yourself? Would you go to that conference is a result. This is a question about the result. So would you go to that conference if you had to pay by yourself? Okay, so this is it with the exercise. Don't forget that you have a worksheet. Download the worksheet and do the exercises. They will help you to master conditional sentences type 2. Thank you for your attention. You've learned a lot so far in this course, so keep up the good work and see you in the next lesson. Bye.